African American history has been a steady procession of progress, but so much of that progress really began to accelerate in the era that we call Reconstruction. That's where you have the introduction of the first civil rights amendments to the Constitution. The first civil rights constitutional amendment was done in 1865. That was the 13th Amendment. It abolished slavery. It was done during the Civil War. It was a very partisan amendment.
Right. In
that amendment, you had 100% of Republicans who voted to end slavery. You only had 23% of Democrats who wanted to end slavery. Right after that amendment was done, we come to the end of the Civil War. So now the South, that had really separated to form a pro-slavery nation, and that's not my opinion, that is their secession documents.
Right.
The documents of secession of the South, of those 11 states that seceded, said that they did so to preserve slavery. The Confederate Constitution actually totally prohibits any state from ending slavery. That's how set they were on keeping slavery, is they're claiming states' rights, but they won't even allow their own states to end slavery. So they're very adamant on that. The speech, one of the early speeches in the Confederacy given by the Vice President, Alexander Stephens, called slavery the cornerstone of the Confederacy, and it literally was. So you get to the end of the Civil War, shortly after you abolish slavery, and now you've got all these states who separated to have slavery, and they've got to come back into the Union somehow. But you've got to convince them that if you're going to get back in, you have to do so upholding the 13th Amendment. Slavery's got to be over. Well, they wouldn't. They said, all right, so what? You freed all the slaves, but they're not going to be citizens of our state. We're not going to let them be citizens of Louisiana or Georgia or Texas or whatever. So Congress says, oh, let's do a little arm twisting here. So they come up with the 14th Amendment that says that a freed slave is a citizen of the state in which he lives. So what had happened was in the South, you had two types of citizens. You had state citizens and you had others just living there, free blacks who can't be citizens. The federal Constitution says, no, 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 that stops right now. You live in a state, you're a citizen of that state, that's the end of it. So that when it came time to vote on that in the federal Congress, now remember after the Civil War, the Southern Democrats have now joined back to the Union. So we had the Northern Democrats, we had the Southern Democrats, we had the Republicans. They're all back together, and so they're back in Congress now. Northern and Southern Democrats and Republicans. Comes time to vote on the 14th Amendment that says that these former slaves get civil rights. Not a single Democrat in Congress voted for the 14th Amendment. Not a single, it's a matter of public record, not a single one.
What year was that?
That was 1868. You still have trouble in the southern states. There's a lot going on that says, well, they may be citizens, but we're going to pass laws that say that colors of citizens can't vote. You can't have blacks vote. So Congress came in 1870 and passed the 15th Amendment that says you cannot be deprived of your right to vote on the basis of your color. Real simple stuff. It's a reaction to what's going on in the southern states. The 15th Amendment is what guarantees blacks the right to vote. People think, well, it's the Voting Rights Act. No, no, no. The Voting Rights Act does not grant right to vote. Voting Rights Act only helps enforce certain counties that used to use literacy tests. It's a very specific law. The right to vote is given by the 15th Amendment. It is unabridgable. I mean, it is right there, real simple.